Let's proceed to interviewing with the fourth and fifth case history of migraine. For a fourth case history, we have a 41-year-old woman who had been suffering from headaches for over 20 years, and they had worsened in the past year. The headaches occurred all over the head and were generally dull in character. Occasionally, they occurred on the left side of her forehead, in which case they were sharp and throbbing in character. She also suffered from chilblains, cold hands and feet, and tiredness, and felt cold in general. Occasionally, she suffered from a visual disturbance consisting in seeing flashing lights. She had two children, aged 2 and 6, and she had suffered a heavy blood loss after the second childbirth. Her tongue was slightly pale on the sides and had a hard crack. Her pulse was deep, weak, and choppy. Her diagnosis: there are symptoms and signs of liver blood deficiency manifested by the dull headaches, the visual disturbance, the pale sides of the tongue, and the choppy pulse. This blood deficiency was obviously aggravated by the hemorrhage after the second childbirth, which explains the aggravation of her headaches. Liver blood deficiency in this case has given rise to liver yang rising, which is causing the sharp, throbbing headaches on the left side of the forehead. In addition to this, there are also manifestations of kidney yang deficiency, like feeling cold hands and feet, tiredness, and a deep, weak pulse. In this case, attention should be paid to treating both the root and the manifestation, but with special emphasis on treating the root, that is, nourishing liver blood and tonifying kidney yang. Now let's go to our fifth case history. We have here a 31-year-old boy who had been suffering from headaches, night sweating, weakness, and tiredness for 3 weeks. These symptoms had an acute onset in springtime, and before that, his health and energy were good. On closer questioning, his weakness consisted mostly of a feeling of weary limbs. He also complained of an epigastric discomfort, which he found difficult to describe, saying it was like a feeling of hunger, and he could not decide whether it was hunger or pain. This was accompanied by a feeling of nausea. In addition, he experienced aches in the joints, especially of the legs, and dizziness, restless sleep, and irritability. His tongue was very slightly red on the sides and had a sticky white coating. His pulse was slippery, wiry, and rapid with 92 beats per minute. His diagnosis: the essential feature of this boy's condition is its acute onset. If we analyze his symptoms in isolation, many different patterns would emerge. Damp heat in the joints, which are ache in the joints, liver yang rising, manifested by headaches, irritability, and dizziness, yin deficiency, manifested by night sweating, epigastric discomfort with feeling of hunger, spleen chi deficiency, manifested by weakness, tiredness, and weary limbs, and stomach chi not descending, manifested by nausea. However, if we take the sudden onset into account and consider the symptoms in their totality, it then becomes apparent that this problem is caused by the emergence of latent heat in springtime. In this particular case, latent heat manifests as damp heat. Latent heat occurs when an external pathogenic factor invades the body, in theory in winter, but it can happen in any season, without causing apparent symptoms at the time. The pathogenic factor goes into the interior, turns into heat, and lurks in the interior to emerge later with a sudden onset in springtime. When it emerges, latent heat manifests with symptoms of interior heat, but with an acute onset. In this boy's case, the symptoms of heat are insomnia, restless sleep, irritability, night sweating, feeling of hunger, red sides of the tongue, and rapid pulse. The symptoms of damp feet are weary limbs, ache in the joints, sticky tongue coating, and a slippery pulse. Thank you for your attention.